Mark Anders, you won the giveaway from last week. Congrats, comic fam. We gotta talk about some caliente funny books. What's good, comic familia? We are talking about the comic books that are spiking, the blue chip leaders, the health of the comic industry. And at the list at number 10, we got Gem from GemMintCollectibles virtually on the line. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling great, and I want to talk to Sampson. Doc Sampson, that is, number 10 on the list. Incredible Hulk 141, the first appearance of our green-haired Gamma friend.
Hit that subscribe button, slap the like button. We got a giveaway on deck. We haven't chatted about this particular hero in quite some time. The last speculation was actually surrounding leaks that were provided from the sets of Falcon and Winter Soldier, an Easter egg of a development company named Sampson Development. However, I don't think this actually came up in the show. Now we're talking about Sampson again because of She-Hulk spec mixed with this World War Hulk leak that is not confirmed. Could we be seeing Doc Sampson? It makes sense, and the numbers are showing that the community thinks it's a good play.
We got a CGC 8.0 that broke a new record with a $355 sale. Just 1% increase over its previous sale, but holding that value.
Then we have the second all-time high for an 8.5 set this week for $850, and that was also outdone by a 9.4 sale this week. Prior record putting that at $625, up 140%, now selling for $1,500. Next at the list at number 9, Bloodstone number 1.
That's right, we're talking about the first appearance of the monster huntress herself, Elsa Bloodstone. She's the daughter and successor of the famous monster hunter, Ulysses Bloodstone.
The reason behind the spec is so strong for this character is because Blade has cast a role with the name Ruby attached. We're looking for a female character that is going to be primed for this more horror-led comic book retelling on the screen. We know that this is going to set the stage for things like Midnight Suns, for Ghost Rider, The Occult. What better character than one that's already been featured in comic books and was featured in comics as recently as 2019 in Deadpool, as well as the one-shot in the upcoming Death of Doctor Strange. This very year, we are seeing prices for raw copies and high grade hit $250. Last year, they were selling for $100.
Moving on to the graded books, a CGC 9.6 sold for $325 in September. It's up 22%, now selling for $395.
2 weeks ago, this book made it on our list at number 7 on our Hot 10. So I got to hit the subscribe button and utilize code Tom101 on the best comic app in existence, keeping track of all of these sales. Key collector comics available for both Androids and iPhones. This list premieres on the app prior to this video being released. Get ahead of the curve and let's take a look at the leading record breaker this week.
That's right, the CGC 9.8, the creme de la creme, sold for $795 just last week. It's up 13%, now selling for $900. Moving on to number 8 on the list, the Adam Warlock hype has not died down whatsoever. We're talking Fantastic Four 67, the first cameo appearance and origin of him.
We find out what lurks behind the beehive, and in this issue, we actually see the cocoon and we see the cameo. Let's take a look at the leading 9.8s that have sold this year and in prior years, because this book does not come up very often in that grade. We have a 9.8 record for a standard blue label copy back in 2018, the last recorded sale for $17,000. Then we have the Twin Cities Pedigree that came to market back in August prior to the news dropping, and that sold for $22,500 this very year. We knew price correction would come, but this fast, it's all because of the spec that was confirmed.
Yeah, this book made number 5 on last week's Hot 10 list with the announcement that Will Poulter will become Adam Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. A CGC 7.5 sold for $750 back in August. It's up now 33%, selling for $1,000. The 8.0, that sold for $1,000 back in August, and that's up 10%, selling for $10.99. Kind of close to the 7.5. I'd keep an eye on the 8.0s.
The 8.5 didn't disappoint. Prior record set in August for $1,300, up 36% this week, now selling for $1,762. Next on the list at number 7, let's get our science on. We're talking about metals. We're talking about showcase number 37, the first appearance of the metal men: iron, gold, lead, mercury, platinum, and tin.
And don't forget the first appearance of Dr. Magus, who created them all. We have a CGC 6.0 that sold for $675 back in 2016. Been quite a while since we've had some new sales, and it's up now 13%, selling for $763.
Haven't seen quite a lot of sales for this comic book, but we do have the highest recorded sale at a 9.4 set in 2018, selling for $22,500. But why the uptick this very week? Well, as of October, the director of Men in Black, Barry Sonnenfeld, revealed in an interview with comicbookmovie.com that Metal Men was in active development. Now, when we take a look at the 6.5, it's going to make a little more sense because the prior record was set in 2016 as well for $685, and that's up 53% this week, now selling for $1,050.
And that's not all. We have a CGC 7.5, a book that sold for $1,100 in April of 2020, now up 9%, selling for $1,195.
I always dug the Metal Men because they're a very unique team. They're not the standard human superheroes who got powers. They are robots. They were designed with the metals to enhance them, but because of some flaws in their assembly, they have more human traits, providing a very intriguing narrative.
Yeah, I dug the last series of Metal Men. They even had the 9th Metal Man. And speaking of Metal Men, we're talking about Iron Man coming in at number 6, Iron Man 55. Not only is it the first appearance of Thanos of Drax the Destroyer, but also Eros, aka Star Fox.
And that is a cameo appearance of Eros, but he does get named in that word bubble. It is causing a ruckus on not just our Hot 10 this week, but the trending list last week with our Overstreet Price Guide advisor. Peep that video. We have major records for this very respected Bronze Age key. A 4.5 sold back in July for $660. That's up 5% for this pricey book, landing at $696.
The CGC 8.0 almost had a record-breaking sale, the second highest sale ever, going for $13.50, which is just $25 under the highest sale ever.
And I suspect price correction coming because we saw an increase of copies sold of this pricey book of 200% since the announcement that Harry Styles is going to be playing Thanos' brother, Eros, also known as Star Fox. The 9.2 back in May sold for $2,500. That's up 12%, now selling for $2,799. And what's this? Number 5 at the list? Is it him? No, it's Warlock.
That's right, midway through this list, we're talking Marvel Premiere number 1. It ain't him, it's Adam Warlock. He was reborn and named Adam Warlock by the High Evolutionary.
This was number 2 on our list last week, Gem. Are you surprised to see it here?
I'd be more surprised if they didn't show up on this list. I think we're going to continue to see gains until we see Will Poulter in full-on action.
We have so much time between now and then, and can you imagine as they release more cosmic characters, considering Guardians of the Galaxy is coming to an end seemingly with James Gunn not being in control of the franchise going forward? We have a lot of spec to discuss, and when any of those get confirmed, it'll retroactively cause spikes to all these cosmic characters, especially for a book like this where Warlock gets featured in his classic superhero costume for the first time. Let's take a look at the 8.0. Back in June, going for $645. Up 33% this week, now landing at $859.
The 8.5 sold for $1,100 back in September. It's still holding that same value with this 2% increase, now selling for $1,117.
And the 9.4 record was shattered and moved up so quick in such a short amount of time. We had a prior record set in May for $1,976 to be outdone with a $2,035 sale. And what's this? An increase of 52% with a brand new high sale of $3,000.
Moving on to number 4, the him Adam Warlock train doesn't stop. We're talking Thor 165, the book to own for the first full appearance and first cover appearance of him.
As mentioned, he later becomes Adam Warlock, but it's here where we see him front and center on the cover and causing a ruckus, getting into fights with Thor over his new love interest. Very interesting read that continues to Thor 166. I digress because the prices are moving quick. 3.0 back in March sold for $226, up 126% this week, selling at $510. And I'll remind the community, this comic book made it at number 1 on last week's Hot 10.
And still hot this week, we've seen gains in 5.5, 7.0s, 7.5s, all going from about 1.5 to 2 times the value since that announcement.
Now keep this in mind, Comic Fam. A 9.4 back in May sold for $6,000 for this comic. So why don't we talk about the 9.0 to give you some perspective? Because this week we had the record shattered by 42%. Prior sale was in September of $3,524 to be outdone, blowing past the 9.4 record set in May, landing at $5,500. This book has gone cosmic.
And speaking of going cosmic, number 3 on the list, we have the first appearance of an asteroid. But not just any asteroid, we're talking Asteroid M Baby in Uncanny X-Men issue 5.
We have the third appearance of Magneto. We got the second appearance of Quicksilver, the second appearance of the Scarlet Witch, the second team appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. If you can't lock that first appearance down, because we've been talking about them over and over on nearly every Hot 10, you got to go for that second appearance because we're seeing monster movement for these blue chip mutant keys. Getting them secured before the inevitable introduction to the MCU. The 1.5 prior record was set in June of 2020 for $115, up 64%, now selling for $189.
Sticking with the low grades, a CGC 2.5 sold for $250 back in February. It's up 68%, now selling for $420.
And then we got the 8.5 prior record set in February for $1,652, up 81%. This book is going to clear $3K, landing this week at $2,995. Comic Fam, if you like what we do, we've been here every single week for you for over a year. Hit the link in the description and follow Gem over on GemMintCollectibles. Once you do that, take a look at ComicTom101.com to join the mystery mail call. We are in active enrollment for the November box. Every single member is getting 2 exclusives. And Gem, you said this may be the best month we've ever done.
2 bangers. I said, Tom, can't you spread those out a little bit? I mean, what do you got? Something is Killing the Children and Venom?
Close. House of Slaughter, #1, but in the Something is Killing the Children universe, done by DeVigo, trade dresses and virgins are being created, going out at random, one of which will be in your box guaranteed, and the other done by the Michelangelo of the modern time. We have Raph Grassetti on Venom #1. 1 per box. Support what we do, and let's chat about #2 on the list.
That's right, we have to show some DC love, especially with all the publicity that Peacemaker's getting. John Cena coming in at #2 with the Peacemaker issue 1.
Charlton Comics was acquired by DC in the early 80s, and then those characters were integrated in DC continuity post the Infinite Crisis event. Characters that you know, like Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, The Question, Nightshade, and Peacemaker. Interestingly enough, these characters were actually slated to be part of the narrative done by Alan Moore in Watchmen, but because DC decided to use the characters elsewhere, Alan Moore had to create other fan favorites such as Night Owl, Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach, and the like. Well, we know Peacemaker is slated for HBO Max. We have confirmation about Vigilante, and we have some all-time records being shattered this week.
First, we have an ungraded copy that sold for $2,000. Somebody must have had a lot of faith that it was super high grade. Then we had a CGC 5.5. It sold for $315 back in May. It's up 43%, selling for $450.
And we have a huge 9.0 record breaker this week. Prior record set prior to Suicide Squad 2, prior to the HBO Max confirmation. We have a $250 sale for a 9.0 back in April 2020, outdone with an increase of 540% this week, now selling for $1,600. Comic Fam, hit that comment section. What's your favorite book on this list? What do you think about the list? Do you own any of these books? Do any of these books being placed here make you want to spec on others? Help your fellow community members and enter you to win a virgin copy of our Ben Templesmith Dune House of Atreides issue #1. And by the way, go check out this movie. It was absolutely stunning. One of my favorite sci-fi movies I've ever seen.
Dang, that's some high praise. Moving on to #1 on the list, we have Shazam issue 28, a second appearance with Black Adam.
The second appearance in an original story since the Golden Age. This is the comic key to get because the Golden Age book is so pricey. I suspect prices are moving up because of DC fandom seeing the teaser, being reminded that we're going to be seeing Atom Smasher and Cyclone, as well as Hawkman on the screen, accompanied by Dwayne Johnson as the Black Adam.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see that. A CGC 5.0 sold for just $185 back in March. It's up 89%, now selling for $350. A 9.0 sold for $725 back in April, and that's up 38%, now selling for $1,000.
Gem, don't you hear it all the time? Where are the DC comics on our list?
I know, man. Marvel dominates this list, and it's because they do so well in other forms of media. DC's showing some promise now with stuff like Batman, with Black Adam, and The Flash.
And this is a historical moment for our Hot 10 because not only do we have a DC property at the list at number 2, but the number 1 slot for the first time since we've been covering the blue chip comics defining this generation of collectors. We have a 9.2 new record leader. Prior record set in October for $925, up 41% this week, selling for $1,300. Hit the subscribe, slap the like, comment down below, and as always,
Geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Big shout out to our new sponsor of the show, Whatnot. We are packing the house over on the best new app to buy and sell comic books, and I'm calling it Whatnot Wednesdays. I'm bringing all my homies, some of the most trusted dealers in the comic book community. We got Nerdy Girl Comics, Skeleton, Key, Sammy, and Tony, Rage, Theo, the Golden Age Guru, Comic Pops, My Faja, Milgeek Comics, the Comic Sensei, and Overstreet Price Guide Advisor, and myself. 7 hours packed of dollar bid start auctions that only last 60 seconds long. Never thought it would be so fun. Link in the description. Go follow my page and support the show. And also take a look at these other videos. We made them for you. Enjoy them.